This video has been funded in part by the Guild via Patreon. Check out the links in the description or at the end of this video for more details. Hello everybody, my name is Chris Gildart, and welcome back to another Pros vs. Cons mini review. After Xuanyuan Sword 7 last year, I started keeping an eye out for more Chinese RPGs coming to the West. So when I heard that the latest Sword and Fairy was going to be making its way to the PS4 and 5 thanks to East Asia Soft, I knew I would be making a video. Xuanyuan Sword 7 was more than just a new game for me. I ended up getting all of the achievements for it on Xbox One and absolutely loved every second of it. This series, as well as Sword and Fairy, had been on my radar prior, but it wasn't until last year when I started actively watching out for more info. A few months ago is when I found out that East Asia Soft would be bringing the latest game to PS4 and 5. Technically, this is the first PS5 game to be reviewed on the channel, so a huge thank you to them for providing a code. Sword and Fairy is developed by the same company behind the Xuanyuan series and had its first release back in 1995. Together Forever is the 7th entry in the series and originally saw a release on PC in October 2021. I have a PC that is fully capable of running this game, but I held hope that a console release would also happen, and East Asia Soft swooped in to save the day. I did some digging as well and found out that this entry isn't directly connected to any of the past games, so you can jump into this one without needing to play any of the previous games. I also want to mention that in my Xuanyuan Sword 7 mini review, I brought up this Chinese game that I found at a thrift shop. I finally found out the name. It's called Gujian Qitan, which in English it's known as Swords of Legends. And it even has an MMO game on Steam. This has nothing to do with Sword and Fairy, but if you were as curious as I was, we now have answers. So now that we have the answers to that, we're still left asking the question, how is this game? Well, before we go too far, don't forget to give this video a like, comment with your thoughts below, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's jump into Sword and Fairy Together Forever. Ready, set, pros. Let's start things off the way that we always do. Sword and Fairy Together Forever looks gorgeous. It's definitely an upgrade from last year's Xuanyuan Sword 7. I love the way it looks on PS5. Everything just looks so crisp. When the game started up and I saw Shu Wu fighting those demons, I felt like I was playing a next-gen game. Once I actually took control and started running around though, that's where the real excitement started to kick in. When I took control of Yue Qing Shu and started running around the forest and village, my God, the environments look beautiful. But not only do the environments look good, all the characters look good too. Going back to the opening cutscene with Shu Wu, you can see the fibers in his clothes. This is insane. Like, the texture work in this game, you can see just how supple their skin is. I want to know what Shu Wu's skin regimen is because goddamn, I gotta apply that to myself. Like, everybody not only looks good, but everybody looks good, if you know what I mean. And now, a recreation of Chris's first encounter with the villains of Sword and Fairy Together Forever. Man, I'm really having a great time with this game so far. Just saved a little kid from being captured by a bird. Oh, who is she? Probably the villain of this game. Damn, she's hot.
2 hours later.
Alright, the bad guys have shown up at the Tianxi sect home base, and it's time to take them on. Where are they? Of course they're all hot! But on top of the beautiful design and highly detailed textures, the game's combat is what really keeps me coming back. Sword and Fairy Together Forever is an action RPG with real-time hack-and-slash combat. Square is your normal attack, triangle is heavy attack, circle is dodge, X is jump. If you hold R2 and press one of the face buttons, you'll do a special move. You can also swap characters once you start building your party by holding L2 and pressing one of the coinciding face buttons. Overall, combat is fun and easy to grasp. I keep making comparisons to Xuanyuan Sword 7, but there's a reason for that. Sword and Fairy Together Forever definitely feels like an evolution of the system we got with that game. It's more fleshed out without getting too complicated. If you've played character action games before, you'll feel right at home with this game. Besides the combat though, there's tons of NPC NPCs to interact with, and side quests to complete. All of these help to build the world around you. The environments help to make this game look alive, but the story and lore really help to make it feel alive. Unlike Xuanyuan Sword 7, the world isn't interconnected. Instead, you'll need to fly between areas on the back of Qiaoling. The thing is, these areas will have new side quests periodically. Every time a new area would open up, I'd go back to all the other locations just to complete the side quests and get more detail on the world around me. Exploration is key too. There's lots of secrets and items to find. The last thing I'll say about the gameplay is that I didn't expect a Sonic Adventure snowboarding level to make an appearance. The final straw to build the perfect game after graphics and gameplay is story. Sword and Fairy Together Forever follows Shu Wu of the deity realm and Yue Qingxu of the human realm. Shu Wu was sent by Ao Shu to fight the heaven demons and their leader. However, he is outnumbered and overpowered before finding his way to the human realm. Because all this realm jumping and fighting has drained Shu Wu, he loses his sword, which is used for realm traveling, and turns into a fruit when he lands in the human realm. Yue Qingxu finds this fruit and begins to sink her teeth into it almost as if she's entranced by it. Her companion Qiaoling stops her. After snapping out of it, she brings it to her grandfather. This is where you find out that they are a part of the Mingshu sect, one of several sects that watch over and protect the world. There is also a rivalry between the Mingshu and the Tianxi sect. After a bit more tutorial, you see a kid being stolen away by a large bird. You save him and he's wearing Tianxi sect clothing. He doesn't want to go back and sounds like he's being held captive. Yue Qingxu's grandfather convinces her to keep him here for a couple of days so that he can see the market day in the village before taking him back to Tianxi. When night falls, something strange starts to happen with the fruit, and Shu Wu takes his humanoid form. This is where the hot demon lady comes in and tries to steal him away again from the Mingshu sect. During the fight, the grandfather gets injured, and the kid, named Zichu, helps Yue Qingxu heal him. You later find out that because Yue bit into the fruit, this binded her with Shu Wu in a symbiotic relationship. They cannot go too far from each other, otherwise Shu Wu won't be able to keep his form in the human realm. Zichu is brought back to Tianxi sect headquarters, and it's revealed that he is a vessel for Ao Shu, who is kind of like the head of the deity realm. The heaven demons attack Tianxi this time, trying to take Zichu yet again, but are held back by the leaders of the Tianxi sect, Ao Shu, and the heroes. However, during the fight, the main villainess, or as I like to call her, Mommy, is wielding Shu Wu's portal-making sword. This is where the adventure really starts to take off, as it's up to Shu Wu and Yue Qingxu to uncover how to recover his sword, save the human realm, and the deity realm. I'm really interested to see where this story goes from here because I'm not sure that the Tianxi sect can really be trusted, and I feel like I'm in for even more twists as well. But that's all the pros I have so far. Now it's time for the wrath of the cons! Now I know I raved about how great this game looked, but Sword and Fairy Together Forever has a similar issue to Xuanyuan Sword 7. The issue is that while the main characters and environment have highly detailed textures, the side characters and NPCs aren't given nearly as much detail. I know this is usually done because the main cast will be who you will see on screen the most, but you shouldn't make the difference that stark. I find Shu Wu is the most detailed character model, but then you look at Yue Qingxu's grandfather, especially his hair. You can tell the difference in detail between the two. You would think that the grandfather's model would have more detail than he does because he is in so many cutscenes. The visual issues I have extend beyond textures on minor characters though. Another complaint I had about Xuanyuan Sword 7 was about the subtitle text. It was very hard to read at times. Not only was the text small, it was also white with no drop shadow behind them. It would have been nice to have something behind the text, making it easier to see it when it appears over top of something else that's white. I will give Sword and Fairy one thing. I made a suggestion to provide the option to increase the size of the text. That option is here, making it easier to read in general, but the issue about the white text still remains. Best bet is to always have some sort of shadow box behind the text to provide that definition. But even if the stroke outline was thicker to make that text pop, that would also help. My complaints about visuals don't end there though. It doesn't happen a lot, but there are some glitches I've run into. When it happens, it really pulls me out of the experience. There was one moment during a cutscene where our group of heroes are sitting at a table and Yue Qingxu was, let's say she wasn't in the right spot. Like, seeing this really broke my immersion. Like, even the cup she's drinking from moves in relation to where she's supposed to be. Not only that, the audio of one of the opening cutscenes started to desync. This seemed like a really important moment and the visuals started to lag, but the audio didn't. So I hear voice lines and sound effects before it would happen on screen. I will say that I downloaded the PS4 version to see if there was any differences there, and the visuals were actually pretty decent. Not as good as the PS5, but I gotta give credit where credit is due. The audio for the opening cutscene didn't desync this time. It's weird that it runs more reliably on previous consoles given that it's a brand new game. That being said, the PS4 isn't void of glitches from what I've played. I didn't get up to the moment where Yue Qingxu was sitting at the table, but I got far enough to know that the PS4 version is still serviceable, but I would rather play it on PS5. Sword and Fairy Together Forever also has a complete Chinese dub. I'll say that it really does help with my immersion given that it's set in a Chinese mythological setting. That being said, I suck at reading. With the text being difficult to read at times and a good number of conversations and internal monologue happening during gameplay, during some moments it does force you to walk slowly, but others it doesn't. It's almost better to just stand still and turn the camera in a way where the text is against a darker background and just let the conversation happen. I understand why they didn't go with an English dub. This is completely personal preference, but if you're not going to have an English dub, at least make the text easier to read. My last complaints will be around the minigames. There are 2 games that you will be able to play throughout the run of this game. The first is a card game called Journey Heaven Earth. The card game isn't the issue, it's more the tutorial. There is a lot of strategy in this game, and you really need to think about what cards you're going to play. A step-by-step tutorial would have been much better than the 2 screens of text and pictures that we actually get. That being said, it is something that you can figure out on your own, or look up a tutorial that someone else has written. To be honest, I don't really have a problem with this minigame. It's hard, but understandably hard. No, that's just tutorial that could have been better. The real minigame that I have an issue with is the Leaf Fairy Jump. This is a bastard of a platforming challenge that has no right being in an RPG. This shit can burn in hell. No, it's not because I suck at it. I swear. No, you suck. In the end, I really enjoyed my time with Sword and Fairy. This hack and slash combat along with the action RPG mechanics really made my time with this game enjoyable. I've been really wanting to get into Chinese RPGs over the last couple of years, and my time with both Xuan Yuan Sword 7 and this game have not only scratched that itch, but also made my interest in the genre grow. I'll be keeping an eye out for more Xuan Yuan, Sword and Fairy, as well as other CRPGs to come. And that's why Sword and Fairy Together Forever gets a thumbs up. With fun gameplay and story, I just keep coming back wanting to see what's going to happen next. I love how the combat is pretty much an upgrade from what we got with Xuan Yuan Sword 7. It's fun to have encounters with enemies and even bosses. I will say that the story of Sword and Fairy Together Forever isn't as quickly gripping as Xuan Yuan Sword 7. The story did eventually grab hold of me, but I found from the instant I started Xuan Yuan Sword 7, I wanted to know where the story was going to go. With Sword and Fairy Together Forever, the story starts off hard and fast, almost as if you're expected to jump right in as well. Even with the story hitting you like a massive brick wall, they did a good job of establishing the characters and their relationships. I know I also complained about a handful of glitches, but they just broke my immersion when they happened. It's not like they were game ruining, but it does suck when it happens. Here's hoping this can be patched up in the future. I'd also like to see a patch for a shadow box behind the subtitles, or at least an option. Plus, my complaints about the mini games don't really affect the overall game. Since these are optional, you don't have to do them. Though I will because I'm a stupid completionist that needs the stupid platinum trophy, but that's a me problem, not a game problem. Overall, I loved my time with this game, and I'll be playing more of it to see where the story goes. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching my mini review of Sword and Fairy Together Forever. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe for more. What are some other Chinese RPGs that I should check out? Let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to help support the channel and what I do here, you can join the guild, just like these awesome people that you're seeing on screen right now. You can join them at the end of every single video for just $1 a month over on Patreon, or you can donate as a one-time fashion over on Ko-fi. There are other rewards and other tiers as well, so check out the links that you see on screen, and I will see you all down in the comments.